Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, of course, for today, I thought that I would talk about my little fight prediction. And this fight prediction, of course, is going to entail that of the Oleksandr Usyk versus Anthony Joshua rematch. And this fight, I do believe, ends up happening this Saturday. I don't believe that it is on a pay per view, but if it were on a pay per view, in my opinion, at least for that'd be the United States, I would still probably get it because I am very intrigued with this fight. Of course, for those of you that do not know, what ended up happening in the first fight, Oleksandr Usyk, by many people's accommodations, ended up getting an upset victory over Anthony Joshua. In my opinion, at least because I predicted Anthony Joshua to win, it was a slight upset, but I can't say all in all that it was the biggest upset that I had ever seen because was I necessarily shocked that Oleksandr Usyk was able to get the victory? No, not necessarily because not only do I believe that Oleksandr Usyk that he is the way all around better boxer than that of an Anthony Joshua, or at least a better boxer and lighter on his feet and quicker. I just think that his style, in my opinion, is just all wrong for Anthony Joshua. And in this video, I'm not only going to be giving my prediction, but we're also going to be reviewing a video by Mr. DontesBoxingNation, to get his opinion overall on the fight and overall what he believes. Dante, in my opinion, and it's no disrespect to him whatsoever, but Dante, for him reviewing the sport for such a long time, in my view, I think that his breakdown ability of certain fights should be a hell of a lot better because I don't think that he really takes a look at things, in my opinion, from a three-dimensional standpoint, and I don't think he really takes a look at it overall from the most intelligent background, but it just is what it is. But anyways, we're going to see what Mr. Dante has to say about it, and with that, I'm also going to cover certain points because the reason why I'm mainly reviewing this video for my fight prediction is because certain points that Dante is going to bring up are certain points that other people are going to bring up as well. So I thought that I would review this and entail with that, give my little opinion as well. But let's get into this. Let's see what he has to say.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So we just concluded the press conference, the final press conference for Usyk versus Anthony Joshua 2. Finally, we're getting one of the most significant fights of the year. It may not be the biggest fight, but it's certainly one of the most significant. Because with all the drama going on in the heavyweight division, the winner of this fight is in a very, very powerful position. I think there's a lot of curiosity surrounding this fight, even though it seems like Anthony Joshua is somewhat of a big underdog. But the way I see this fight is if the undefeated Anthony Joshua shows up, he beats Usyk. He stops him. I'm talking about that Anthony Joshua that knocked out Charles Martin, knocked out Dillian White. If that undefeated...
Right, but what that tells me, Dante, is that you don't really know that much about boxing. And there's no offense whatsoever, but many of your breakdowns, in my opinion, have been really, really overall just scratching the surface. We can't take a look at Oleksandr Usyk versus Anthony Joshua as the same fight as when Anthony Joshua fought Charles Martin, because Oleksandr Usyk can do different things than any other opponent that Anthony Joshua has ever fought within his career. And there's a certain amount of other people that are also bringing up that point where they say all in all that, oh, well, if the old Anthony Joshua returns, if he just tries to go in there and knock him out, I don't even think that Anthony Joshua being more confident in this fight is going to work in my view, which pretty much tells you who I believe is going to win the fight. I think that if Oleksandr Usyk is primarily focused, I believe all in all that if he truly comes here to win, which I believe more than likely that he is going to do, which you never know because in the last fight where Anthony Joshua lost against Andrew Ruiz, in the rematch, Andrew Ruiz did not seem to take Anthony Joshua as seriously, probably as what he should have. Not only that, but Anthony Joshua adjusted. But it is going to be very particularly interesting. But Usyk has just enough power to hurt Anthony Joshua pretty much at any given time that he wants to. And on top of that, he's just way lighter on his feet. He has better all-around head movement, better all-around footwork. In my opinion, what Anthony Joshua is going to have to do in this fight to win is to use his feet a little bit more, use that jab. And Anthony Joshua, he may be able to do that against the bigger opponents, but against someone as quick and as swift as Oleksandr Usyk is, at least compared to other heavyweights and cruiserweights, will he be able to do that against him? I highly doubt it. I don't think that Anthony Joshua is going to be able to use his feet and use his jab to his advantage because Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, he's never had strong footwork. He overall has a decent jab, but is not necessarily like a Tyson Fury jab. There's not many heavyweights in the world, in my opinion, who are going to be able to defeat Oleksandr Usyk. And out of all the other elite heavyweights in the world today, Anthony Joshua is probably the worst all-around style to possibly beat Usyk because he overall does not quite have the chin of a Tyson Fury or a Deontay Wilder. And on top of that, he does not really have that, eraser like a Deontay Wilder with the right hand. And when it comes down to it, he's going to try to outbox Usyk in certain rounds. And even if he does try to come forward, Usyk, in my opinion, is just all around more swift than him. It's going to be very hard for Anthony Joshua, in my view, truly to defeat someone like an Oleksandr Usyk, but we'll see what happens.
Aggressive Anthony Joshua shows up, he wins. But if the low self-esteem Anthony Joshua shows up, Usyk is going to stop Anthony Joshua in this fight. Unfortunately, in the sport of boxing, taking an L in this sport is not like taking an L in football or basketball. A lot of fighters are affected psychologically. Mentally, they're never the same after they take an L, regardless if it's a knockout loss or just a decision loss. But of course, a knockout loss is always worse. You have some fighters that bounce back and they get better. And then,
Well, actually, a knockout loss, in my opinion, is not always worse because sometimes when people end up getting knocked out, they can say, I just made a stupid move or I just got caught with the right punch. Sometimes getting your ass whooped, like what Anthony Joshua did for those consecutive 12 rounds in that fight, sometimes it's worse. And the reason why that is because, wow, I didn't even get knocked out and I still overall could not jump on those opportunities to beat an Oleksandr Usyk. I still cannot adjust. I still cannot beat an Oleksandr Usyk. I still cannot beat my opponent from across the ring. So no, I can't necessarily agree with that. A knockout is not always worse. Now I understand where Dante is coming from, but there are certain fighters that they would prefer to get stopped overall than to actually get their ass whooped for a considerable 12 rounds. Just is what it is.
you have the majority of fighters that are never the same once they lose. We'll see which one Anthony Joshua is this Saturday. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it for the word of DontesBoxingNation. But if I overall had to predict this fight, who do I believe is going to win? I believe that if Oleksandr Usyk shows up as focused as what he needs to be, more than likely he will win this fight. We may even see a knockdown or two from either side. It would not surprise me. Now, Anthony Joshua is coming into this fight with a new trainer, I believe, with Mr. Robert Garcia. If I had to guess, more than likely Anthony Joshua, he may come into this fight a little bit bigger, overall a little bit more muscle bound. He may also come into this fight all in all trying to pressure Oleksandr Usyk. Do I believe that that is full on going to work? Not necessarily. I think it may work for certain rounds, but I think that he's an all-around fighter who can fight in pretty much any dimension, just like any other great fighter out there. And I think that Anthony Joshua is going to have a very tough time with him. I think that what Oleksandr Usyk needs to do is to pretty much do what he did in the last fight, which is use his feet, use his angles, use that great footwork, and overall use his head movement and that jab in his face to disguise that left hand, pretty much what he did in the last fight. What does Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, need to do? He also needs to use his feet. Excuse me. Now, he doesn't necessarily quite have the footwork of an Oleksandr Usyk. So there's going to be certain exchanges where you're just not going to be able to out-exchange Oleksandr Usyk, especially since he's the shorter and smaller fighter with the smaller reach. So on the inside in certain exchanges, he is going to have the advantage. It just is what it is. And on top of that, he is very decently defensively responsible. So when it comes down to it all in all, what I will say is this. It's going to be very particularly interesting. But the advice that I would give Anthony Joshua is to use his feet and to use his jab all in all, and to use that right hand, especially to the body a little bit early on. Mix it up to the head and the body. Use that jab and that right hand to the body and to the head very early on. And on top of that, Joshua is going to have to use his feet. There's going to be certain times where he has to move in and where he has to move out. And Joshua has just never been good at that. It just is what it is. His feet sometimes are a little bit too planted into the ground. It's not the worst footwork that I've ever seen, but it certainly is not the best. So it's going to be very interesting because I don't think that Oleksandr Usyk, in my opinion, is just some ordinary fighter. Usyk is a person that is a very well-trained, well-confident, well-all-around fighter. And that's why personally I predict, in my opinion, that more than likely that Oleksandr Usyk once again is going to win this fight by decision. But if I see an Anthony Joshua win it by decision, if I ended up seeing a knockout on either end, I would not be shocked. But I have to go with Mr. Oleksandr Usyk. I just believe all in all that he's the wrong type of style for Joshua. I believe that he has the perfect type of build. I believe all in all that the type of style that Anthony Joshua has, a fighter that more than likely is going to try to outbox you. And even if he does come forward on you, he possibly can get hurt. I believe that Usyk is going to win, but we'll see what happens. Would not surprise me if Joshua put on the pressure a little bit more and overall was able to get Usyk, maybe a little bit more scared. But I just think that Usyk can pretty much adjust to whatever you're doing. But it's going to be very interesting. But anyways, that's really about it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I have Oleksandr Usyk by decision, and I'll talk to you all later.